The definition of ignorance simplified is simply you just don't know. If you don't know, then you can't have any expectations. The definition of stupid simplified is simply you do know and you still do it anyway. I've been stupid. So, how have I been stupid? Well, I do know something. Yet every year, I choose to disbelieve what I know and continually to hope for a Packers playoff run that'll lead to a championship. But I know better. I know better because I'm a historian. And I know what it means to have learned from prior experiences, what it means to be a historian. And the history that I know tells me that I should expect heartbreak in the playoffs. So before I get started into the reaction to the Packers loss, this reaction is more than just this one little loss. It's not a little loss, but more than just this one loss. So to do that, I'm going to explain to you what a historian is. A historian is someone who tells a story about something that actually happened. And in the process, tries to prove something with evidence from history that is well documented with primary and secondary sources. I'm going to tell the story of how I've been stupid as a Packers fan. So let's go ahead and start this with looking at some history. Let's transition to 2007. In 2007, 2008 NFL season, this was the first year that I was totally invested in the Packers as a fan. Before that, I wouldn't even call myself a casual fan. I was still growing into myself. I was new to the sport, really new to really being competitive. And this is the first year I really invested myself into the Packers as a fan. This just so happened to be Brett Favre's final season as a Packer. It felt like a team of destiny. Everybody had that feeling. It felt like that the Packers team was going to be the team of destiny and that this was definitely going to be Brett Favre's last year, especially with how Aaron Rodgers came out in that game against the Cowboys back in 2007, how he looked so good. Now the Packers ended up losing that game. Brett Favre came back the next week, and we kept it going. We finished that season 13-3. This seeming like Favre's last season, it just seemed like a perfect situation. Like a book was being written. An epic one at that. So my first really invested playoff game, it was now January 2008. The snow was falling. Lambeau looked like a snow globe. Everything seemed to work perfectly. The run game got going. The defense really showed up. Brett Favre out there looking like his younger self. We won. We beat the Seattle Seahawks. And on top of all that, the Dallas Cowboys, who were the number 1 seed, ended up losing. The Packers being the number 2 seed. That meant they got to host the NFC Championship game against the Giants, who were 9-7. The Packers were heavily favored. Lambeau was as cold as it possibly could be. I remember before that game, they were doing pregame, and they literally brought out a glass of water, put it on top of the table where they were doing the pregame. And before the end of the pregame, that whole thing was frozen solid. It was cold. And so you'd expect the Packers to win. Well, the Giants came out to play. It was a close game. With a couple missed field goals here and there, we found ourselves in overtime. And the Packers got the ball. The thing is, this was the first year that I was invested as a Packers fan. I don't remember the catch 2 with Terrell Owens. I don't remember 4th and 26 because I wasn't really invested as a fan yet. I wasn't old enough to be really cognizant of how those games were going. I don't remember those, so I didn't know to expect heartbreak. Brett Favre comes out, throws late to Donald Driver. Corey Webster picks it, comes out the Giants kicker, and they beat us. And it seemed like that book that was being written just got slammed shut. Never to be fully recognized. Never fully to be written. Now it's gone. I didn't know to expect that. Then you come into the 2008 season, and in between that season right there and that off season, it was tumultuous. There were so many issues, like Brett Favre retiring and then unretiring, and the Packers ending up trading him and going with their gut and going with Aaron Rodgers. They didn't want to miss an opportunity with who they thought was going to be good, and so they stuck to their guns and they went with Aaron Rodgers. That 2008 season, all things considered, gave us hope. Gave me hope as a Packers fan that the future was bright. We went 6-10 that season, but 7 of those games that we lost were decided by 4 or fewer points, and you just couldn't help but feel that the next season, this team was going to go right back to where they were before the year prior, and Aaron Rodgers was going to be able to take them to the promised land. So let's move on to 2009, and in the very first game of the season, Packer fans seemed to be proved right. In games where when it came down to it, the Packers couldn't win in 08, in 09 they did win. And in the very first game, Aaron Rodgers proved that when he threw a beautiful pass to Greg Jennings to beat the Bears with less than 2 minutes remaining in the game. We just knew this was it. The Packers finished the 2009 season going 11-5. Losing a couple of heartbreaking games to the Minnesota Vikings led by our former QB, Brett Favre. That season had its ups and downs, and it just seemed like this was it. We were going to face the Vikings in the playoffs. We were going to beat them, and we were going to roll all the way to the championship game. But first, we had to get past the Arizona Cardinals in the wild card round. Aaron Rodgers' first playoff game goes out, throws an interception. We had a slow start, but after being down 17-0, the Packers came storming back, and it became the highest scoring playoff game in NFL history. Goes to overtime. Packers get the ball first, and we start to move a little bit, right? Aaron Rodgers ends up missing a throw to a receiver down the field. He was wide open. It was going to be a game breaker. And back then, all you had to do was make a field goal and you were winning, right? But you expected Aaron Rodgers to make the next throw. He gets the ball, backs up, pass rush comes in, face mask missed, fumble, returned for a touchdown. And in an instant, Packers season was over. And just like Mike McCarthy collapsing to his knees, every Packer fan, every Packer player felt that. Felt the same way that Mike had to feel in that moment when he collapsed to his knees. We just knew we were going to go on a run. Didn't happen. Heartbreak again. You get to the 2010 season, the Packers finished 10-6. At one point, they were 8-6 in that season, right? The expectations for that season seemed to be maybe much lower as the season went. We had a couple overtime losses. We lost to teams we shouldn't have. It just seemed like we were missing some things here. Aaron Rodgers got injured with a concussion. It just didn't seem like our season. And 8-6, we blow out the Giants. That felt nice. And then we barely beat the Bears in Week 17 to make our way into the playoffs. At that point in time, for me anyway, just everything on top of that felt like gravy. It seemed like we were in a place we didn't belong. It seemed like everyone was overlooking us. And we went on a run. The expectation at that point for me was not to win a Super Bowl. But we went on a run. And you know what we did? We won a Super Bowl. And it was great. It was awesome. And then what that did was bring the expectations higher. And so those expectations were so high, we all expected with Aaron Rodgers at the helm that we were going to be a dynasty. But for reasons really unthought of, unheard of, it didn't happen. We get to 2011. Rodgers was the MVP of the league. Packers went 15-1. We were dominant all season. We get the first seed. We're going to host playoff games all the way through on our way to another Super Bowl. Going to win back-to-back games. And the New York Giants come in there. And it seemed like the ball bounced their way. No matter what the Packers would do, the ball would just leave our hands and go to theirs. I mean, even before halftime, they hit a Hail Mary. What are you going to do about that? And we ended up getting shocked. We lost. Another heartbreaker. 2012. This Packers team came together. They had their success from the previous year and kept it going. They ended up beating the Minnesota Vikings in the wild card round and drew the extremely hot 49ers led by Colin Kaepernick. Our offense was on fire all season long, but our defense, well, they were susceptible to the run. And Colin Kaepernick ran for 181 yards against us, and the defense couldn't get off the field. The offense did a lot, but the defense lit up 45 points, while the offense could only score 31. We were out again. 2013, this season was marred with injury, but Aaron Rodgers came back just in time to play the Bears in Week 17 for the division. 4th and 8. John Kuhn makes an amazing block against Julius Peppers. Runs around, finds a wide open Randall Cobb. He's got Cobb! Touchdown. Packers win. They win the division. They get to host the playoff game. And guess who they get? The 49ers. This time, the Packers defense showed up. They did just enough, it seemed like. They even had an opportunity at the end of the game. Micah Hyde's there. He has an interception in his hand to put us on our side of the field to kick the game-winning field goal. He drops it. And then the Niners, their defense couldn't stop him again. Go on down the field. They kicked the game-winning field goal with no time remaining. We lost again. 2014 was probably the best Packers team I've seen ever, really, if you think about it. Aaron Rodgers was injured, but it didn't matter. He put on an MVP performance all season long. We made it to the championship game. We were winning 16-0 at one point in that game, but with less than 3 minutes remaining in the game, after a pick should have been turned to a pick six, but was slid down anyway, stopping it. The Seahawks came roaring back. Balls bounced their way. Fake field goal. A mess up on the onside kick. They get the ball in overtime. Russell Wilson goes over our heads for a touchdown. Game over. Our best team gets knocked out of the playoffs when we should have been in the Super Bowl. What happened? 2015. The Hail Mary season. I think of the miracle in Motown. Aaron Rodgers hits Hail Mary, win the game. Our offense was sputtering toward the end of that season. Our defense was doing great, though. Wild card round, we beat Washington, and we move on to the divisional round when we get the extremely hot Arizona Cardinals. We were losing in the game, but with the final few seconds of the game, Aaron Rodgers doesn't hit one, but two Hail Marys. One from his own end zone to set us up for the second one, and we get it. We tie the game. It seems like all momentum's on our side. It seemed like this is the team of destiny right here. This is the team that's going to go on and win the Super Bowl. The Cardinals get the ball. We're round in the corner. We're about to sack Carson Palmer. He finds Larry Fitzgerald. He runs all the way down the field. Defense barely stopped him in time, but the damage was already done. They get the ball again to Larry Fitzgerald, game over. It's like, how do you hit two Hail Marys and still not win? The team of destiny shot down. 2016, run the table. Aaron said he feels like we could run the table, and we did, all the way to the championship game. The divisional game just before that, it seemed like, yeah, this is the team of destiny. This is it. No more heartbreak. Aaron Rodgers rolling out to his left against the Dallas Cowboys finds Jared Cook, or as they call him, Cookie, on the sideline. He hits his feet down. He catches it, rolls out of bounds, stops the clock. Mason Crosby comes out. Game-winning field goal. We go on to the championship game. We're going against the Falcons, and they demolish us. More heartbreak. That one was so heartbreaking. In 2017, we didn't make it to the playoffs. We were hurt with injuries. Aaron missed a big chunk of the season. He had a chance to come back against the Panthers. He did, but he played terrible. He'd be the first one to tell you he did. We missed the playoffs. 2018, Aaron gets injured again. We lose a lot of opportunities to progress. Mike McCarthy's message as a coach begins to go stale. We missed the playoffs again, and just before that, we fire Mike McCarthy. come in Matt LaFleur. Everybody was mad that Matt LaFleur was hired. They wondered how would he mesh with Aaron Rodgers. And mesh they did. In 2019, the Packers went 13-3. Everyone said we were the worst second seed ever to make it to that point. We're the worst 13-3 team ever. But this team found a way to win. We beat the Seattle Seahawks. We go in against the Niners, but the Niners were too overpowering. We couldn't stop them. Once again, the 49ers beat us. Heartbreak again. In 2020, the year of COVID, it seemed like a dream team. We went 13-3 again. We dominated the Rams in the divisional round. We get Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the championship game, but the Packers are the better team. The Packers were the better team. They're the ones who deserve to go to the Super Bowl. Yet, due to choices in the game, going from our own 8-yard line, or going from their 8-yard line trying to score, incomplete, come out, kick a field goal. You know what? I still, as a Packer fan, most people disagree with me. I'm in the minority, I think. But that was the right decision. Either way, you're going to have to stop Tom Brady. Then the refs who were not calling penalties all game against pass interference and defensive holding, when it mattered most, called it against Kevin King. We lose again. Heartbreak. Now we get to this season. Probably a better team than 2020. We were overcoming all of these injuries, get everybody back. This was supposed to be the last dance. Get in the divisional round, we get the first seed, we get the Niners again. And when I found out we had the Niners, my heart skipped. I know our history with them. But this had to be different. This is it. Right here. And after that first drive, it did feel like it. We went right down the field against the 49ers. A.J. Dillon with a touchdown. Ooh, it felt good. Our defense was playing hot. They were dominant. That never happened before in the playoffs. The defense is usually the reason why we end up losing. Our offense was driving again. We fumbled the ball, turned it over. After that point on, we got too conservative. Aaron wasn't looking like Aaron anymore. He was missing his throws. He was missing wide open receivers. You could see it. He was missing them. What are you going to do? It came down to our defense and special teams. Our special teams cost us a total of 10 points, if not more. With being there being a field goal block, that's 3 points, and then a punt block that turned into a touchdown for the 49ers. That's 10 total points. The Niners beat us 13-10 on a game-winning field goal. You can't blame it all on the special teams. But still, weird things took place again. Another team of destiny shot down. And we lost. For all of these reasons, all of these proof reasons, I'm stupid. I should know better to have hope in the Packers winning in a playoffs, going on a run, and winning a championship game. History tells us we're going to blow it. You know what? I'm okay with being stupid. I'm going to continue to hope that the Packers will win these games. Eventually, they'll go on a run and they're going to win it all. Because that's my team. If me having hope in them says I'm stupid, then I'm okay with that. Because I choose to believe that they'll break through.